So is Donald Trump running for president? Well, based upon the high production value campaign ad he's just released, it appears he is. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So Donald Trump just released a high production value campaign video on his social media platform, Truth Social, and I'm here to react to it, something that my family has been urging me to do for some time. So let's check it out here today.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation.
Now, I want to start with the fact that this reminds me of his inauguration speech when he talked about American carnage. I mean, Trump loves to position himself as being the guy who can save the United States. But the thing I hate to remind him is things weren't so great when he left the presidency a couple of years ago.
We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, where the stock market just finished the worst first half of a year in more than 5 decades. We are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history.
Now, let's clarify on that. The United States actually does not have the highest energy cost in its history. In fact, the price of gas has been dropping. And in fact, I just saw some headlines saying that it's now dropped below $4. And what's more is on a real basis, the price of gas, even at its height, was still below what it was back in 2008 and 2009. So to say that is absolutely factually untrue.
We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, which we were just 2 short years ago.
Now that's complete BS. We were not energy independent 2 short years ago. The United States right now is a net energy exporter, as it was back then, and really as it's been since the Obama administration. But we still export a substantial amount of our energy because of the fact that some goes out, some goes in. About 60% of our energy is imported from Canada, which frankly I'm not terribly worried about. But that was the case back when Trump was president, so his claim that we were energy independent back then is also hogwash.
We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil.
Now, let's be clear about something. When President Biden went to Saudi Arabia and asked for them to increase the output of oil, he did it because of the fact that that would help reduce the prices for everybody in the country and really around the world. Now, that's quite the contrast to when Donald Trump and Jared Kushner went to Saudi Arabia, which they went to enrich themselves.
We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment.
Okay, I can't just sit here and let him say that. Now, first of all, when we left Afghanistan, this is something that Donald Trump had promised to do but did not accomplish. Secondly, the basis for our withdrawal was actually a treaty that he entered into with the Taliban in which he released scores of Taliban fighters against the wishes of the Afghan government. And finally, when Joe Biden decided that we were actually going to go through with the withdrawal, he did the best he could, evacuating over 120,000 of our allies.
In the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse.
I can't even respond to that. I don't even know what to say to that. Well, no, I do know what to say to that. Remember the fact that this is the guy who is impeached because basically he was trying to stop us from sending weapons to Ukraine to defend themselves against the Russians. Because you have to remember, this war against Russia isn't something that just started last year. This is something that really has been ongoing since 2014, with Russia actually taking over the Crimea. And yet, when Donald Trump had the opportunity to send weapons to Ukraine to help defend defend themselves against Russia, what did he do? He tried to turn it to his own political advantage, saying to President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was just elected back then, but who we now know is a true hero, that he wants him to do a favor, basically announce a baseless investigation into Joe Biden's son.
We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before.
I sometimes just don't know how this guy can do this. I mean, this is a great example of what my mother used to say, is when you're pointing at somebody else, you've got three fingers pointing back at yourself. I mean, remember, this is the guy who fired the head of the FBI because of the fact that he wasn't defending him sufficiently, and who appointed a special attorney general to pursue a baseless investigation against the people who had brought forth the whole issue of the connection between Donald Trump and the Russians. Remember the Durham investigation? That investigation which has cost Americans millions of dollars and which resulted in one prosecution which resulted in an acquittal.
Well, we've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get.
Just a reminder here that fake news is a term that was actually established to describe what Donald Trump does with his constant lying.
We're a nation where free speech is no longer allowed.
Wait, free speech is no longer allowed? If free speech is no longer allowed, how's he putting up this campaign video?
Crime is rampant like never before.
We just got news that crime has actually gone down.
The economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020.
Okay, let's remember the facts that COVID wasn't even here for a good portion of 2020. So as a result of that, the period that would have resulted in people dying from COVID was shorter in 2020 than in 2021.
We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon. And China...
Wait, he's the one who withdrew us from the Iranian nuclear deal, which was signed by President Barack Obama, and which Joe Biden is trying to get us back into. If we had stayed in that deal, which he took us out of, Iran would not be getting nuclear weapons right now.
To use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own.
Now, let's just remember something. Number one, the United States has actually increased its military spending. Number two, I don't really want to get to this whole issue of the trade deficit and exactly what it means and what's good and what's bad, but let's just remember the fact that during Donald Trump's time in office, the trade deficit actually went up, not down.
We are a nation that over the past 2 years is no longer respected or listened to all around the world.
Now, I don't know how he can say that when surveys have shown that across the world, people respect the United States more now that Joe Biden is president. And just look at the ability that Joe Biden has shown to rally our allies together in opposition to the invasion in Ukraine. This is quite a contrast to what we saw when Donald Trump was in office.
And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty and freedom and faith. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are...
Wait, whose economy is floundering? We just had one of the biggest jobs reports in the history of our country, actually. And part of the reason that we're dealing with the issue of inflation right now is because of the fact that the economy is so hot. The economy is doing so well and generating so much activity that the prices are going up.
Not stopped, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list.
Well, that's just complete hogwash, by the way. The United States educational system is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But when you look at it in contrast with the other developed countries, the other countries that are ranked on the OECD, then you can see that in general, the United States is about average. There are certain countries that are better, certain countries that are not as good, but certainly we compare favorably with other countries similarly situated to us, like Canada and Australia and Germany.
We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke.
I hate to say it, the only way that the United States became a joke was when we elected probably the stupidest president we've ever elected after somebody who was so impressive in Barack Obama solely because of the fact that he had white skin.
We'll have greatness again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country.
Now, are these the same hard-working patriots, by the way, who invaded the Capitol on January 6th?
There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet.
Now, wait a minute. Isn't this the guy who said he was going to eliminate the deficit, but the deficit actually went up under him? Isn't he also the guy who said that he was going to pass a $1 trillion infrastructure bill? And yet, who did that? Oh, that was Joe Biden.
There's no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. Ever, ever.
Now, wait a minute. Isn't this the guy who claimed that he was going to get rid of Obamacare? And wait, we still have Obamacare. And in fact, Obamacare is doing better than ever. In fact, we now have, in large part because of Obamacare, the lowest percentage of uninsured that we've ever had.
We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never, ever back down. We will never let you down as long as we are confident and united. The tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance.
This is the guy who fell in love with the dictator of North Korea?
Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.
Now, this is what the video is really all about. This is a blatant appeal to the white Christian nationalists who form his base. I mean, we have to remember the fact that recent polling has made it clear that most Americans now consider themselves religiously non-affiliated. Many people do not believe in God anymore at all. As a result of that, this claim that we're a nation under God that follows God, this is really just some kind of appeal to the minority who he's trying to lead. And that's what his campaign is all about. He's trying to lead a minority of people against the majority to try to help that minority keep power, despite the fact that they are no longer the majority in America. The best is yet to come. Ah, yes. Well, I'd have to say that largely the best is yet to come as a result of the fact that we have now a bill that's going to address climate change that's passed. We now have the deficit that's going down. We now have an infrastructure bill. Those are all things thanks to Joe Biden, no thanks to Donald Trump. Well, what do you think? Do you think that this video indicates that Donald Trump is running for president? I'd sure be interested to know your thoughts. And by the way, if you're interested, check out this other video here where I did about the truth of what was going on in Afghanistan. It's about time that we start to talk about the real facts of what happened there rather than the hysterical musings of people who are trying to paint it as something that it wasn't. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.